How do I know that you're not like a clone or an alien or something? All right, so we're checking out Scary Stories with Tom MacDonald. This isn't a music reaction, it's a little something different for you today. So let's get into it.
Welcome to Ghost Stories with yours truly, Tom MacDonald. We're gonna have to take a trip in the Wayback Machine for this one, because this happened a long time ago. The year was 2012. Thankfully, the Mayan calendar was wrong and the much publicized end of the world didn't come. But it still got weird. It still got really weird.
In 2012.
This all started with a music video shoot in the small Canadian town, abandoned Canadian town of Tranquil. But it wasn't until after this whole ordeal, it wasn't until after everything that I'm about to tell you, it wasn't until after all of that that we found out that Tranquil is actually one of the most haunted places in North America. Let's start from the beginning. So there was three of us. There was myself, the music video director, and my producer at the time, Olivier.
What?
We all piled into a vehicle on a Friday afternoon and started the long drive to a long forgotten corner of the Canadian Pacific Northwest. We were unknowingly embarking on what would turn out to be one of the most terrifying experiences of all of our lives. Aside from a traffic jam on the highway, it was a rather long and uneventful drive. As we drew closer and closer to Tranquil, things gradually became more and more desolate. The cars that we were sharing the highway with gradually disappeared.
Why are you laughing?
Streetlights gave way to...
What?
I can't talk, I have food in my mouth.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Why was I laughing?
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking about what I look like just watching this, like waiting
like,
for something
yeah,
to say.
Just eating popcorn, watching this. But
I
honestly,
look super awkward.
you know what I was thinking about? For real though? So this is an abandoned ghost town. Like, why? Like, what are they doing? A music video? Like, what is like when you wake up one day, you say, I want to go to like the most haunted, most abandoned, scariest place in North America today.
Sounds like something you would say. We drove past a ghost town once, and
We
you wanted
did.
to stop by.
I was so mad because we were with his friend and she wanted to go to like some art museum, some Frida Kahlo art museum. And I was like, I want to go to the ghost town. I was pissed. Anyway.
We're sharing the highway with gradually disappeared. The streetlights gave way to pine trees, and the tiny communities that just dot the edges of the asphalt were just eventually swallowed up by the suffocating Canadian wilderness. Paved roads turned to gravel, and the gravel roads turned to dirt roads, and the vast forest around us just seemed to entirely close in. And when the paved roads turned to gravel roads and the gravel roads turned to dirt roads, that's when we reached the Iron Gates.
Oh.
Our final destination, Tranquil, had been cut off from the rest of the world for quite some time. Essentially, Tranquil was home to Canadians who had tuberculosis, and at the time, tuberculosis was incurable and highly infectious. Sound familiar? They pretty much shipped everyone in Canada who had tuberculosis. They shipped all of those people to Tranquil, this tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and they shipped them there to, well, die, essentially. Anyway, we didn't know any of that. All we knew was we had to shoot a music video, and this was the perfect place to do it, and we were going to get it done. So there we were in the middle of nowhere. We pulled the car over to the side of the dirt road. We unpacked everything we needed, lights and cameras and bags and outfits and all that stuff. And we cut into the trees to get around the iron gate that was blocking the road, and we were on our way. So after a short hike through the trees, we came up over the top of a hill.
They're deep in this.
Okay.
Okay.
What you got?
They're deep, like gravel dirt.
Gravel to dirt.
I'm like so hearing it. No, gravel roads to dirt roads to trees, hiking all the way past this gate, into this, like, no. Like, literally, if something happens, if there's some crazy people living back there, like, you're so far away from anybody can help you.
And so when he's saying all this, you like picturing it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing. I can't picture things in my head. So, like, while
Dang.
you're picturing this gravel road, dirt road, and all this scary
See, you
stuff.
need to see, that's why I did. I don't know why I can't
you know what
talk.
I mean? I was trying to talk like you, make you feel like you're normal. That's why I did the slip up too. You know,
I appreciate it.
You know how I do. But yeah, so while you're picturing all this stuff, I'm just hearing a dude talk about it.
You're just blinking and staring.
My mind doesn't make pictures. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm just watching a dude talk about gravel roads and dirt roads and scary stuff, but there's no pictures of it for me.
So you're basically just like a computer just blinking and like staring at the screen.
Yes.
Dang. So like at what point does it become enjoyable to you?
It's not unenjoyable and the beat's nice, you know what I mean? The little beat in the background.
That's the last thing I'm thinking about. Dang.
The little beat in the background, you know?
Yeah.
It's not bad, but now it's changing. It's getting to be dramatic sound effects like doo-doo, doo-doo. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't have the picture, so it's not the same for me.
Dang, that's wild.
It's funny to you?
That's just wild because I'm just like...
I'm struggling. And
no, it's like a nervous laugh. I'm like, well. Wow.
All right.
After a short hike through the trees, we came up over the top of a hill, and there it was.
What?
Just silent and still and forgotten. There were schools and houses and convenience stores and hospitals and libraries and paint chips just peeling off the outside of the exteriors of these buildings, just flapping in the wind. Just seemed like they were just clinging to a time a little less lonely.
See, this is that stuff right here.
What?
I paused it to say, like, I can't see this in my head. Like, and then boom, then pictures pop up like 30 seconds later.
Magic.
And that's what people, you pre-watched it. The pause was too perfect. I paused it right before the pictures come and say I can't picture it in my head. You know what I mean?
Right.
People.
Right. You just be like, so like,
if we were uploading this, we had to like pretend we didn't pause it there. So I don't know.
Rewind it a little bit.
People be tweaking.
But you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Indigo Traveler. If you guys ever check out Indigo Traveler on YouTube, he like went to like North Korea and he like went like, he takes his camera into like the slums of Brazil, like in Rio de Janeiro, like just Chernobyl is on there. But he goes to like all these like wild places, and I feel like that when they're like, there's city, there's what? Big head, you're absolutely right. I feel like that's how it works. Is that how it works? How do I know?
Try not to talk.
How do I know that you're not like a clone or an alien or something?
I heard I was cloned at birth.
Flapping in the wind. Just seemed like they were just clinging to a time a little less lonely. We had arrived at Tranquil. So we made our way down the hill and we crossed the train tracks that encircled the town, and there was no signs of life. And when I say no signs of life, I mean nothing. No birds, no coyotes, no bugs, no nothing.
How?
Nothing like what you would expect of a town encapsulated in a massive forest in the middle of nowhere. So we made our way towards the 3 dilapidated houses. They were just on the outskirts of town, and they were identical. And they sat all in a row. Same paint, same windows, same doors, same front steps.
Dang.
Each house as perfectly the same as the next. Anyway, as we got closer, you could practically hear these houses moaning from years of being neglected and years without maintenance. It almost felt and sounded like something was stirring around inside them, and to be completely honest, I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to find out what that something was. But it turns out that I didn't have a choice. While I was standing there just sort of lost in thought and just gripped by this almost tangible apprehension about the situation at hand, something emerged from the middle house.
Oh,
2 teenage
no.
kids. And we stopped dead in our tracks. So it was this boy and this girl, and they sort of like bounced toward us across this like sun-bleached pavement.
Wait, alive,
Their
right? They're
demeanor
alive.
was weird. So they got close enough to us, and I said to the boy, I said, "What are you guys doing here?"
Yeah, they're alive.
And like I said, their demeanor was strange. Well, maybe strange isn't the right word. Their demeanor just did not fit the situation. They were just like smiling and happy, and they seemed like they were excited to see us. And to me, that didn't fit the vibe.
Yeah.
So
Okay, hold up. Catch me up.
Okay.
This place is in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah, like remember they had to go from the gravel to the dirt to the trees and the gate, and like it took them a while to get to this place. And then there's an abandoned town. He said no coyotes, no bugs, like nothing. Then there's just 2 teenagers. That is creepy.
You know their parents like dropped them
No,
off to
I think
play
they're
in the
dead.
town?
I think they're dead. I think it's like an apparition.
Oh.
And I think that they're going to realize it's an apparition when they can't find them or something.
What?
Something like that.
What if everyone doesn't see the kids?
Right.
Only some people saw them.
Oh, hopefully not. That's really scary.
And what if the other people there thought he was crazy or talking to the kids that they didn't see?
I'll be
excited to see us, and to me, that didn't fit the vibe. So the boy spoke first, and he said, "We're just hanging out, just checking out the abandoned town, and we're filming it with this camcorder." And I was like, "Cool. Well, did you see anything weird?" And he said, "Nope, not yet." And then the girl just like interjected, and she was like, "Oh, be careful in the houses. Like a lot of the floors are rotting, and if you go upstairs, you could fall through, and it's really friggin' dangerous." I don't really remember much else about that conversation. It was maybe like 3 minutes long, and they darted off in the other direction, and we just continued on our way. So we went into the house that our new friends just emerged from, and the girl wasn't lying. There was a massive hole in the ceiling of the living room where it looked like something on the top floor had fallen through and landed in a giant heap of rubble just sitting on the floor in the living room. It was trippy. So the more we explored, the weirder it got. Like inside the school, there was 3 inches of dust on the desks, and the day's lessons were still scribbled on the chalkboard, and there was pencils and erasers just littered about all the workstations. And if you picked anything up, you'd leave a perfect impression of whatever you picked up on the surface that you picked it up off of. Like, this stuff literally hadn't been touched in years. After roaming through like half a dozen buildings, we had finally made our decision where we were gonna start shooting this music video, and we decided on, of course,
music video.
the sanatorium.
Oh!
So we were walking down the main street on our way back to the hospital when I noticed something peculiar. Peculiar?
Brother! I cannot say that word either. Oh, I have that same. That is the weirdest word.
Peculiar?
Yes. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not even gonna try. But J-Sack said y'all should make us some popcorn.
Hey! Oh, we in this.
We did.
Full commitment.
We did. But that is one word that I just can't master it. You know what I mean? It's just a weird word.
Something peculiar. Peculiar? When I noticed something up. There was this small white brick building that was just sort of jetting out of the dirt right on the edge of town. And we had a long day of shooting ahead of us, but Tranquil just felt like it was some sort of portal to like an alternate dimension, and we were just so captured by the mystery of this town that like work came second, and we just wanted to explore. So we took off towards that white building.
I wonder what video
So this building was essentially just like a brick box.
Right.
It was maybe like 10 feet tall by 20 feet long and 20 feet wide.
Wait, did they shoot ashes? Is that what they shot, guys? That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, you think that's why they recommended it after we did?
Maybe.
Oh.
Good vibes for ashes, if that's the case. That's what I'm thinking, though.
And it had one of those big metal doors on it. It was like a like something that you'd see on a government building. It was that light green color, kind of like sun bleached by the sun. It was missing its doorknobs. I walked over, no windows on this thing, can't see inside. So I walk over to this big green door, and I put my hand inside where the doorknob's supposed to be, and I jerked the door open.
That's a good sound effect.
So it was dark, and it was not the type of dark that you're familiar with. This wasn't like 1 a.m. in my house dark. This was like pitch blackness. But we're here to shoot a music video, right? So we got lights. So I grab one of the lights and I turn that motherfucker on. So when I turn the light on, there's nothing in this room. There's no windows. There's no doors. There's nothing on the walls. There's not even flooring. It's just plain concrete. It's as plain and white on the inside as it was on the outside, with the exception of one thing. A staircase.
Oh, no.
Going down. I'd be
Nope.
lying if I said we weren't scared, because we were freaked the out, man. But here's the...
But we said, let's do it.
Right.
I know. That is just... Okay, I feel like, okay, as far as they are into this town, they can't, like, not do it. But that is terrifying.
Right.
And I'm not scared of most things, right? I don't know. Maybe I am.
You're not super scary.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I'm scary, but this just sounds really... It just sounds really, like, why? Like, you know there's bodies.
That we weren't scared, because we were freaked the out, man. But here's the thing about three dudes hanging out, is none of these dudes is going to admit to any of the other dudes that they're scared, because that's not what dudes do. So we're all terrified, but nobody's going to admit that they're terrified to anybody else. So in the greatest
That's how it
display
works.
of masterfully fabricated machismo in the history of mankind, we go down the stairs. We are so deep in denial and so unwilling to admit that we're afraid in front of another man that we forced ourselves to go down a set of stairs into a black hole inside an abandoned town in the middle of nowhere. And you know what? I could barely comprehend what was at the bottom of those stairs. Medical equipment.
Oh.
Everywhere. X-ray machines and surgery tables and scalpels and wheelchairs and rolling beds, just everywhere, all covered in dust, untouched for years. So there's
What?
3 walls down here.
That's super
So do you think
weird.
it's like an experimental thing, or do you like
Because
they're...
the building had no windows, right?
Right.
And then it has a basement and it's medical equipment.
And it was clearly not a hospital, because the hospital, maybe that was a morgue. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
Why would a morgue have no window? Does
'Cause
that help?
maybe like
preserve
sunlight ages the
things?
body
Maybe.
type thing. You know what I
Or
mean?
it could have been like some, under the table experimental
Ugh.
facility. Who knows?
So
Yeah, and then that fabricated machismo thing, that's 100% how it works.
really,
Like, there's a bunch of guys in a situation where it's
Mhm.
like either doing something stupid or scary, this and that. If no one's going to admit it, everyone's just going to do it, even though everyone probably feels the same way.
dang. So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, it depends. Depends on what you're doing.
Depends
you know what
on
I mean?
you if you survive or not.
Right, it depends on how stupid the thing is you're doing. Is it good or bad?
Dang.
You know?
Dang.
All covered in dust, untouched for years. So there's 3 walls down here. And there's a doorway on each wall. No door, just a doorway. So I shine the light through the first doorway, long concrete hall.
Oh, nope.
I shine the light
Nope.
through the second doorway, long concrete hall. And then I shine the light through the third doorway. You
Blood and
guessed it,
bones.
long concrete hall. Still neglecting the sheer terror that's permeating every cell in our bodies, we somehow choose a doorway, walk through it, and start our journey into the abyss. And what we found were just more concrete hallways and more wheelchairs
actually went
and
down
more
there?
rolling beds and more hallways and more doorways and more concrete halls. This was a labyrinth of underground concrete halls. And we decided it was a cool place to shoot a scene for a music video, so we started shooting a music video. I'm not even exaggerating. We probably had that camera turned on for 30 seconds before we had to turn it off because started getting weird. I just remember saying, cut the camera.
I bet.
Did you guys hear that?
Why would you cut the camera?
To run quickly. Like if you have to pack up everything and like boop, 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 get your bags, get your shoes on. I'm like, no. You wanna
Nah,
like
he was tripping. Here's
you
the
wanna
thing.
like get out quick.
He
You gotta
didn't say, cut the camera, let's bounce. He said, cut the camera, turn off the only piece of equipment that could prove what we saw, or like, if we died, you guys would know how You know, you turn that off, and then did you hear that? They didn't leave. They didn't run. You gotta keep it rolling, you know?
I mean,
this is your evidence. This is your proof. If you die, your family might want to know how. Might be sue the city. Who knows? You can sue people for anything.
But also, when you're freaked out, you're not like, oh, let me take my camera towards the thing I'm freaked out about. You're gonna be like not even paying attention. You're gonna be like using your eyes to like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna be like focused on the angle and the lighting and stuff.
I don't know. There's a lot of footage of some weird stuff because people recorded in situations.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
I think they should have kept the camera rolling.
Okay, well.
But it was 2012. What if they had like limited space and they had so much space for a music video?
Right, probably.
I mean, 2012, you know, memory was different.
Like, yeah.
And we all just stood there, just quiet and motionless in the 10-foot section of hallway that our lights would illuminate. And I am not kidding you. Somewhere out there, beyond where our lights could reach, footsteps.
No!
I remember my producer Olivia sort of laughing like, no f***ing way. No f***ing way. We just stood there, frozen with fear. We just stood there and we just listened. And we heard voices. Voices somewhere way out there in that maze of concrete hallways, just echoing through everywhere. And I just said, yo, pack up the camera. Let's get the f*** out of here now. As we're packing.
Okay, how big was this camera? If they would have had it on, they would have had the voices recorded and everything. True. You know, that would have been epic.
But I mean, who's really like going to do that? Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they left some equipment. That's scary. And how do they find their way back? Because he said it's like a labyrinth. So he went down some stairs and it's like boom, 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 boom. And
maybe there's like a dust trail where they walked.
Right? Well, true. But how do you see that? Except I guess you can use some light from your phones and cameras. I don't know. But then it's like, why does that building have like a labyrinth of mazes under it? Right? It's weird.
Right? Super weird.
Yo, pack up the camera. Let's get the f*** out of here now. As we're packing up to leave, I notice that just out of our light's reach, I see a door. And it's a big-ass metal one. So I squeeze past Olivier, and I walk over to the door. It's this giant steel door, and it's just flush with the concrete inside this hallway. And I just push it open. It's the basement of a house. I said, yo, shine that light over here. And there's another big metal door 6 feet away. And I walk up to it and I push it open. Basement of a house. And then another door and I push that open and it's a basement of a house. And as we walk out of this labyrinth of concrete hallways, more doors, more basements of more houses. So it was at this point that I realized that this wasn't a regular town. There was something going on here. Something that required every house in town to be accessible by these underground tunnels that all led to a massive underground medical lab. Needless.
What do you think?
Well, so I don't know, but I think it's gonna be really weird when he goes and like looks up what went down there and why it got abandoned, because it seems like some secret society type stuff.
Right. I would say, maybe like a war town or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Canada's not really, getting in wars or anything, so like, why would that be there? So it's probably not that.
Yeah. And to me, it seems like secret society, some like organ harvesting, medical experiment type stuff. Definitely.
Tunnels that all led to a massive underground medical lab. Needless to say, we needed to shoot this music video and get the hell out of there. By the time we found our way out of these underground tunnels and we reached the surface of Tranquille once again, it had gotten dark. And you know what's creepier than an abandoned town in the middle of nowhere with an underground mad scientist lab?
All that at night?
A creepy-ass abandoned town in the middle of nowhere with an underground mad scientist lab in the dark, son. That being said, the next couple hours went by rather smoothly, and we got some cool shots and some cool places. We pretty much got everything we needed and had wrapped up the music video. But this is where the really haunted starts. We finish the shoot, pack up the gear, hike up the hill, sneak through the trees, go around the Iron Gate, and get back to the car. We've escaped Tranquille. Or so we thought. We load everything into the trunk of the car, and the director says, "Oh, I'm missing one of my lights.
Oh,
I'm missing a
I
light."
knew that was gonna happen
And
when
I'm
they
like,
got
leave it.
shared.
"What, dude?
Leave it. You know how expensive that
That
probably
light? Let's get the out of here." And the director goes, "Oh well, it was a $1,200 light." And I said, "I don't give a f.
Yeah, I'd be getting the
I'm
light
not
too.
going back into the creepy abandoned town in the middle of nowhere with the underground mad f***ing scientist lab. I'm not going back." And Olivier says, "I'm with Tom. I'm not going back either." And the director says, "Somebody has to go back because I need that light. So let's all play rock paper scissors for it." And the loser goes back into the town to get the light. Look, I never liked fucking rock paper scissors. I hate that. When there's something that somebody has to do and it's an undesirable task, everybody's always like, "Let's play rock, paper, scissors." I f***ing hate rock, paper,
Right.
scissors. It's an impossible f***ing game to win. I always f***ing lose. We agree we'll play rock, paper, scissors. Guess f***ing what? I lose. Of course I f***ing lose.
Oh
But I'm
my
not
God.
going back. I'm not going back. I'm acting like a child, and Olivier has always been the more mature of our sort of duo. So he stands up, and he's just sick of listening to us and complain, and he goes, "You know what? I will go back. I'll go back and get the light. Where is it?" And the director says, "It's in the sanatorium." Of course it's in the sanatorium. Where else would it be? Where else would the lost light be than the most haunted possible place in this abandoned town? It wouldn't.
Okay. I hope they all go back together.
Right, I think they will.
Because if they make one person go back, they're not that good of friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? You all gotta go back.
But the rock, paper, scissors would be kind of satisfying. Because then you feel like you're choosing to go back.
You play
versus-
rock, paper, scissors for who goes in front.
Oh.
You know, but you don't send just one man out in the middle of the night
Right.
to some haunted sanatorium underground. Like, what?
Right, that's true.
They better all go.
Because then if they hear like a blood-curdling scream and they don't go, then it's like you have to choose to get in your car and drive away or go back and help. And that's a horrible
They're going to hear a
predicament.
blood-curdling scream and run towards it? No.
You know what I'm
They're
saying?
not going to.
So they might as well just go with it.
Right. Mob Deep.
The lost light be than the most haunted possible place in this abandoned town? It wouldn't make any sense for it to be anywhere else. Olivier goes, "Okay, cool, I'll go get the light." And with that, Olivier just turns and walks into the darkness. I turn to the director and I'm just like, "Dude, give me a flashlight." You gotta
Yes,
understand,
there we
Olivier
go.
isn't just my producer at this point. He's my best friend. And I cannot, in good conscience, let my best friend wander back into an abandoned town to get somebody else's light by himself. I just can't do it.
There we go.
So I run to catch
Okay.
up with him. So I reach him and I'm
Good
like,
job,
"I got us
Tom.
a flashlight." And Olivier turns and looks at me and he doesn't say anything. He just smiles, like a full teeth grin, like one of those smiles that
No,
somebody
creepy.
makes when they're terrified or when they're fully aware that they're making a very poor decision and they're about to do something really stupid. Through the forest, around the fence, up the hill, down into the valley, we are back in Tranquil. It's pitch black now, and I'm carrying this little rinky-dinky ass flashlight, and we're just navigating through the town, and we're on the way back to the sanatorium. I ask Olivier, where do you have any idea where we put this light? Olivier says, "Yeah, it's in the big main room. I saw him put it down there. I just don't like him, so I was just gonna let him leave it there and hope that nobody noticed, and we'd just drive home and we'd have a good chuckle about this later on." So somehow I managed to let out a muffled laugh.
What?
Wait. So a guy knew that another guy left the light, and he's like, "Hi, let's leave it."
Yeah.
Oh, what a bum.
Wait, but that was Olivier, right? His best friend. Like the best friend he went to go back to get the light with was the one that saw the
So
guy
the other
leave
dude
it.
didn't come with him?
I don't think so.
So it's just Tom and Olivia.
Yeah.
This is a weird story.
It is because it's like Olivier knew that the light was left and then it came back to bite him when he had to go be the one to get it.
Wow.
Interesting.
What?
Interesting.
That's super weird.
Very interesting.
So then Tom was being a good friend for a bad friend.
Well, it wasn't his friend though. Like Olivier didn't like the dude. So Olivier was like basically letting the dude leave the light.
Oh, so it's not Olivier's light. It's the other dude's
It's the other
light.
dude's light. But then Tom was like, so like basically everyone was like, the dude was like, I need my light, and then they're like, let's do.
And then he's the one who didn't go.
Right.
Okay.
Later on. So somehow I managed to let out a muffled laugh because it's funny, but at the same time, it's the reason why I'm standing in an abandoned town in the middle of nowhere with a creepy ass mad scientist underground lab at like 2 a.m. We go up the old wooden stairs and push this giant creaky ass door open and step inside the sanatorium, and we're at the end of this long hallway. And at the end of that long hallway, there's a giant, big, massive open room, and that's where the light is. So we start walking down this hallway.
Man, that's so
doorways
scary.
lining this hallway, and they're all the padded rooms that crazy people would hang out in. We get into the big main room, and as we enter this big main room, I shine the flashlight up on the wall, and just like this perfect, massive piece of art up on the wall, it is painted, "Please burn me down."
Oh! Oh, that's so scary.
Olivier says, "Oh, there's the light." Walks over, picks the light up, and now that we have this all-important light in our possession, we turn and start walking back down that hallway towards the main door. Now, what happens next is probably the most horrendous thing that I've ever witnessed in my life, and I'm sure Olivier would say the same thing. In fact, I might actually call him and get his account for this video, but what happens next is the single most horrendous thing that I've ever witnessed in my life. So like I said, the hallway is lined with doors on both sides, right? And they're like holding cells, or they're like padded rooms or something. You know the ones? Yeah, you know the ones. Now, I'm not exactly sure how to explain this. You know that feeling you get when somebody is watching you? Or you know when you see something out of the corner of your eye and you quickly turn your head and there's nothing there? Or you feel the hair raise up on the back of your neck like someone's standing behind you, but by the time you spin around to face it, it's gone? Okay, that happened to both of us at the exact same time. Except something was watching us. And that thing in the corner of your eye that you don't expect to see when you look, we saw it. And that thing that you feel behind you when the hair raises up on your neck and you spin around, and when you spin around it's gone, it was there when we spun around.
No!
In perfect synchronization, all this shit happened. We turn and shine the flashlight into the padded room next to us, and there it is. A shadow standing up from the floor. Not a shadow cast on the floor, a shadow standing up off the floor. It looked just like a person, except it wasn't a person. It was featureless and almost transparent and massive and daunting and rigidly standing there with its arms by its sides. You can't see from where you're at right now, but I have goosebumps all over me. And at the same time, we just started to run. And we were so scared, and it was so dark. We were just like two frantic animals running from a predator. It was like some sort of primal survival instinct had taken over, and we were just absolutely frantic, and we were falling over each other and tripping over rubble and tripping over pieces of fallen wall and ladders and all of this stuff that we can't see in the dark. And somehow we made it to the front door. We kicked that mother open and ran out into the middle of the street. And we didn't stop running. We weren't even thinking. We were just moving as fast as we could, as far away from whatever the hell that thing was, as far away as we could get. As fast as we could get there, we were going. And after running for what seemed like a marathon, we just finally stopped, and we almost collapsed on the ground, and we're just spinning our heads like a swivel from side to side, just trying to orient ourselves and gain some sort of information about where we had ran to. And I'm gasping for breath.
No.
That was funny because that was kind of like what you said with in the beginning with the little kids. You're like, oh, it's probably an apparition. And then end up towards the end of the story seeing an apparition.
Yep. He literally, that's exactly what that was. If you've never seen an apparition, like, okay, you don't have to believe in ghosts and all these things, but it's like, you can see an apparition. Like they are real.
What are they? That's whole
I don't
nother
know.
stream for that.
I don't know. You know what
I don't
I'm
have the
saying?
answer either, but to
I don't
even
know.
pontificate on that, we would need a whole nother stream.
But I feel like that's why scary movies and all this stuff is sort of like interesting to humans, and it's not just like, oh, that's fake. Because it's like, well, you know, if you are, you know, in a certain circumstance, like, yeah, apparitions definitely exist.
Did they grab the light?
Yeah.
I know they said they were there with the light, but he didn't explicitly state that, oh, we grabbed the light and then we took off.
True.
But they probably grabbed it.
They did.
And gained some sort of information about where we had ran to. And I'm gasping for breath and looking around, and I'd say to Olivier, where are we? And Olivier says, I don't know. And I picked a flashlight up and I flash it around and I'm looking. And that's when I have another terrifying realization, and I say out loud,
They're lost in a forest.
dude, we're lost. And I mean, we're so scared.
What if this whole time he was just dreaming? Or he's telling us a dream. Like in a story, he wakes up or something.
Dreams can be like that.
Dude, we're lost. And I mean, we're so scared, and it's so dark, and this town is so big that we've completely lost ourselves in what's transpired here. Now, I remember Olivier gasping, I think the car's that way. You know, and he just kind of points out with one hand, just totally exhausted. So I turn the flashlight in the direction that he's pointing, and I shit you not, I take one step, and this flashlight flickers twice and dies. We're lost. It's dark. We have no flashlight, and there's that thing in the sanatorium. I honestly don't remember the next 30 minutes. And I don't remember the next 30 minutes because we were just running on pure adrenaline and racked with fear. But we found our way out. And this time when we crossed those train tracks and went up that hill, before going into that forest, we turned around and we looked down on Tranquil one last time. And guess what? The lights in the sanatorium were on. So we barreled through the trees and around the iron gate and over to the car.
no.
And I remember Olivier opening up the car door, and he's leaning the front seat for.
Wait, how can lights be on somewhere that is not even, like, it's abandoned? That's what I'm saying.
Power?
This is like the worst day ever. Like, this is like the worst possible. It's like it keeps getting worse and worse. But at least he made it back to the car.
Like they had a fun day.
Right. It sounds fun. No, it doesn't. What am I? No, it doesn't. It sounds terrifying.
Yes, it does.
It sounds terrifying. I mean, in the daytime, when they were like, who wants to go down the stairs? Nobody wanted to be the first one, but everybody didn't want to. You know what I mean? They were like, well, I don't want to, like, you know, be the scared one, but nobody really was like, oh, yeah, I want to do it.
I want to look at the live chat, but I'm scared. I'm scared of spoilers.
Could you imagine if that dude went alone, right?
Right.
If he went alone, he just would never come back.
He may not have made it out.
I mean, because you can, like, die of, like, being terrified, I think.
Get like a heart attack or something?
Yeah, I don't know. You could die of fear, though. And also, apparitions, like, I don't know if they can be dangerous, but I mean, how they do that, I have no idea, because they're not, like, here, or, you know what I'm saying?
And I remember Olivier opening up the car door, and he's leaning the front seat forward, and he's scrambling to try and get into the back seat of the car. And I had just had enough. I remember putting my foot on his ass and just shoving him into the back of the car, standing the seat up, jumped in, slammed the door, and I just said, drive. The director started, oh, what happened? And I said, shut the f up and drive. So we made it back home, mostly unscathed and in one piece. But you know what the craziest part of this whole thing was? You remember those kids I mentioned at the beginning of the story?
Snap.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
Well, when I got home, I started Googling Tranquil.
Oh!
And I started researching that abandoned town. And that's when I found out that Tranquil was an abandoned town where people with tuberculosis would go and live out their final days. And that's when I found out it was the most haunted place in North America. And that's also when I found out that those underground tunnels were used to remove the dead bodies from their houses without having to wheel corpses through the streets of the town and scare the shit out of all the children and everybody else living there. But the scariest thing I found out, the scariest thing that I found out was that 10 years prior to our experience in Tranquil,
they went missing.
kids went out there ghost hunting. And they fell through the floor in one of the houses and died. A boy and a girl.
I knew it. Oh! Oh! I knew they were apparitions. I knew they were like, or some type of. Oh! That was good.
What?
That was really good.
That was what you said.
Woo! Oh my gosh! No way. No way. I knew those kids were dead though, because they just had that like.
How would they get there?
They just had that aura about them, like the way he described it. They should not be talking to you or approaching you or smiling at you or anything like that. Like they're too interested. They want problems. Not problems, but they're like too. Oh, can you imagine though that being your final resting place? Like you're literally going ghost hunting and then you end up in like an abandoned tuberculosis.
Right.
Like that's where your spirit is stuck. Whoa.
It was a good. He did a good job telling the story, especially the whole production, the sound effects, and all that kind of stuff, and the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a good story. You know.
He did.
What do I think about the kids or anything like that?
Or the town.
I mean, I kind of suspected the same thing with the kids. Remember, maybe some people saw the kids and other people didn't see the kids.
Right.
It's like, why would kids be there? You know what I mean? So it's like something had to have been up with the kids. That's crazy. But I think that's totally possible.
But isn't it so? I always think that is so strange. Like, okay, so he knows now those kids are probably the dead kids and like they weren't. It's like I saw in the chat, somebody's like, you should have asked for a handshake, or they should have. Legend Dusty, they should have asked for a handshake. It's like.
Right.
It's like if you only knew, you know what I'm saying? Like they would have disappeared like smoke.
And they should have rolled the cameras the whole time. Because it'll probably be them talking to kids and the cameras don't even see them talking to anyone.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
Probably something crazy like that.
Yeah, we wouldn't pick it up through the footage.
Yeah.
True.
Probably.
I mean, after like this kind of stuff, like it definitely, I don't know. It definitely is a thing. That's all I gotta say. But you know what I do want to see, but I'm actually terrified to see, but I still want to see it? Aliens. I really want to see aliens, but like I'm also terrified because I don't think they're just gonna be like these big, friendly, squishy giants that are just like. I think they'll be like a wild animal to another wild animal. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
like I want to see a lion in like, you know, South Africa, but it's like I don't think that lion is just gonna be like, oh, let me give you a hug, Lex. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think aliens will be similar. Like,
I would go to that ghost town. We need to plan a group trip to that ghost town. I would go.
Couch gang in the ghost town.
I would go. All the paranormal stuff, it doesn't really bother me like that.
Yeah, know? Until he's there.
Okay.
Really?
Let's go.
I'm terrified, but I want to go. But I'm terrified. But also, I feel like that fear can sort of like bring out some, right. You know what I'm saying? Like it can kind of like make it even worse.
I just feel like there's not much anything it can do to me, so I'm not really worried about it.
You're brave.
What's it gonna do to me? Scratch me?
Yeah.
Whoop. I've had worse scratches, I'm sure.
It's gonna jump in your body and possess you.
Good luck. Take it for a ride. It doesn't feel as great as it looks. Okay? It would probably want to hop right back out. I was having more fun for us in his body. You know what I mean? I'm not really that worried about it.
Doesn't feel as great as it looks. Thank you guys for watching this video. We appreciate you. As always, we love you. And until next time, that's a wrap.
I don't know. Tell me, man, what do you know? What do you know? Me and my boys on the road. You to go. She told me, boy, you to go. Like, I don't know. But I don't know.